couldn't breathe. It was as though every cell in my body froze. My chest felt tight. My mind was running with thoughts, racing, leaping, spinning in every direction, making it impossible for me to grab a hold of them. I've acted in front of a crowd of 100. I've sat down to write a 1,000-word essay 2 hours before a deadline. But this wasn't one of those situations. This was before my math test, the day I had my first panic attack. Even at the cost of being called a nerd, I'll admit, I love studying. But for all my life, I have pictured math as this devil in disguise, something discovered to suck the soul out of every innocent teenager trying to live their life. In my family, it seemed like everyone had a rhythm, a plan. Careers were mapped out. A soon-to-be material science engineer, an economist, a black belt in taekwondo. It seemed to be like their life had been flawlessly choreographed. And at the heart of all this planning was one pulse: math. Math was in their DNA, but that gene seemed to have skipped me. And this tiny fear grew and grew. Watching them, I felt this urge to want to be perfect in every aspect of my life. I wanted to adopt the rhythm everyone else seemed to have mastered. Picture this: going to school from 8 a.m. to 3:10 p.m., coming home, napping for an hour, then burying my head in textbooks till 12:30 a.m. In fact, I became known for chronically missing plans, spending friends' birthdays catching up with homework, and going on sleepovers with my cousins, and constantly worrying about falling even more behind than I thought I already was. In my head, it felt like every reaction, every word, and every conversation was being examined under a microscope. So, I constantly overthought, predicted the worst outcomes, and tried to be the person I thought everyone expected me to be. And slowly, days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months, until I realized that every single day for the past 3 years looked like this, eventually starting to make me feel completely burnt out. What started with math meandered into my other classes, even into the privacy of my own room. Yet, in this entire maze, there was one space where all these inner ramblings of an anxious mind finally quieted down: the dance studio. I've been doing home concerts for my family since I was 3, but I took the stage with Kathak at 7, then some Bollywood, some bad ballet, and even some jazz funk. It has always been that one time my thoughts seem to want to take a pause and breathe. The one time I drop the facade I've put on. The one time I feel like me. The one time I feel like me. Sometimes my movements are sharp and powerful, echoing the frustration that engulfs me as I try to spin the plates between my school and social life. Other days, they are fluid and slow, almost as if the overwhelm is leaving my body. Watching other dancers inspired me to practice more, to work harder, to be better than I was. Yet, in this passionate pursuit of excellence, I didn't mind making mistakes, or mashing up genres, or falling on my face and looking like a fool, because I knew that I could just get right back up and give it another shot. Not long ago, leaving a 3-hour jazz session where I had tried and failed to get my pirouette right, I was exhausted, sweating, and completely spent. Yet, I was beyond exhilarated. Now, I invite all of you to reflect on a question I had that day. The drive was the same, the effort was the same, and the goal was the same. So, why did perfectionism feel so good when I was dancing, but feel so dreary when I was doing math? And that was my Eureka moment. Because unlike math, dance felt entirely my own. I wasn't trying to match or outdo anyone. I was doing what felt natural to me. Maybe not with math and dance, but all people, especially teenagers, will go through the feeling of not being enough. Not smart enough, not funny enough, not athletic enough, not pretty enough. Psychologists use the notion of maladaptive perfectionism to describe this tendency to constantly compare and set unrealistic expectations. We often inherit the idea of perfectionism from what we see around us. The societal expectancies to choose a highly intense money-making career, the friends who seem to be the smartest when it comes to getting that A star on their assessment. Don't get me wrong, trying to improve yourself is honestly a great motivation. It always helps you to work harder, do tasks with more precision, and conduct yourself better than you normally would. However, when setting goals that are often hard to meet, every small failure is taken as a personal insult, resulting in an overall reduced self-esteem. You didn't do enough, Anika, but I tried my best. Your best clearly wasn't enough. Maybe if I had just worked harder. And before you know it, the pursuit of perfection turns into a chase that never ends, leading to anxiety, obsessive-compulsive disorders, or in worst cases, depression. However, it's important to confront it, challenge it, and make your own standards. Because honestly, there isn't just one way of being the best. Success is a deeply personal, subjective thing. We're so focused on how others define success that we forget to ask if it truly defines us. So maybe the quest for one's best self isn't about relenting to this fabricated race towards the same ideal, being a doctor, scientist, or professor, but rather by daring to be you, to do something that puts a smile on your face every time you do it. I realized that I had nothing to prove, that I did not need to master the choreography of someone else's life. I want to understand people, not equations, and I want to create, not calculate. And the minute I realized that, perfectionism did not seem to be the enemy after all. Looking back at that meltdown, math was never the problem. I was, because I thought the key to being capable was to fit into the STEM world, this world that didn't belong to me. And by fitting in, I had to set these high standards that would get me there. Yet, I overlooked the one thing that had truly made me happy, and trying to be perfect in it hadn't meant I lost myself. Martha Graham once said, "Dance is the hidden language of the soul." And for me, it has always been that way. As someone who has dealt with maladaptive perfectionism for all her life, dance was like the best friend holding my hand and guiding me to a lane that was all mine. It is up to you to find out yours. You weren't born in this world to fit into someone else's box. You were meant to create your own. You were supposed to find your choreography and make it your own. Own it, as my dance teacher says, and find your dance. Find something that makes you feel enough. Something that doesn't make you give more value to other people's perceptions over yours. Whether it is baking, painting, designing, playing sports, or simply just being kind, being an incredible friend, a loving sister, an annoyingly curious student. Something that heightens your spark instead of dulling it. Whatever that may be for you, just find your dance and dare, truly dare to be you.